In next 18 months, 5 Rochester suburbs are about to completely transform. And here's the thing, most buyers are still changing the neighborhood everyone been talking since 2019. But that's the perfect news if you're paying attention right now. The wave of the infrastructure investment, the semiconductor manufacturing expansion, and the major employment relocation hitting this area and creating a window that won't stay open for the long time. And that's why today we are breaking down where this real growth is happening, what's actually driving it, and which suburb will give you the best shot at the beginning early instead of late. And the last one on the list, it might be slippery story everyone's going to talk about in 2027. Now let's dive into it. What's up everyone, I am Khem Kadariya, and here's the thing, Rochester isn't just an affordable Rust Belt city story anymore. And the growth happening here right now is being powered by something most people aren't even tracking yet. Behind the craft brewery opening and the best city for the young professional headlines, there is a quiet economic engine that is starting to accelerate. And it is not just one thing either. It is 3 major factors that rarely align, but when they do, the results are powerful. First, the semiconductor and the tech hub effect. Rochester, Syracuse, and Buffalo just secured $40 million in the federal funding as part of the New York iConductor Tech Hub. And this isn't just the grant money. It is positioning Rochester as the major player in the semiconductor research, AI development, and advanced manufacturing. According to the regional economic data, Rochester tech sector is projected to grow 12.6% from 2020 to 2030, with the over 33,000 jobs, an average salary of $95,490. That kind of high wages employing create a serious housing demand. Second, the infrastructure spending is real. Monroe County and the surrounding area investing hundreds of millions in road improvement, broadband expansion, and water infrastructures in the area that were considered too far out just 5 years ago. When counties invest this kind of money, they are not gambling. They just know something is coming. Third, the work from home reset changed the map. Buyers aren't anchored to the downtown anymore. They are optimizing for the space, good schools, and the future value. And that's completely rewrite which suburb are actually winning. So before we dive into the specific suburb, you need to understand what's happening in Rochester market right now, because the timing window we are in right now is pretty rare. Let me give you the real number on the Rochester housing market, because the headline does not tell you the full story. Rochester medium home price is around $215,000 according to the recent market data, and there is well below the national average, over $400,000. Yeah, $400,000. The cost of living index sits around 98.5, which is about 10.5% lower than the US national average. But here's what matters more than the price. It is a trajectory. Rochester is seeing a steady and sustainable appreciation without the expansion volatility that makes the market risky. That's the kind of the growth that signs a market finding the footing after years of being undervalued. Inventory has improved compared to the pandemic year, which means the buyers actually have some selections and negotiating power. But yeah, it's still, we're already starting the spring market in February, so the power may be getting on the other side and sellers will have more leverage. And you are still in a feeding frenzy where you are overpaying in the blinding bidding wars, since Rochester is still have a low inventory and a strong seller market. But here is the key insight. When inventory normalizes, but the price is still climbing steadily, and you are in what it called the smart money window. It is not a chaos of 2021 where everything was overpriced, and it is not the future scenario where red drops being everyone pulled back in. It is right now where you have a selection, negotiation power, and appreciation already showing up in the data. When I show you these 5 type suburb, we are not speculating. We are showing you where the data is already showing this is happening, but the crowd has not caught that up. Let's break down this, starting with the most stable to the most explosive growth potential. Let's start with the safest play on this list. Brighton, location just southeast of the downtown Rochester. Brighton has always been known for the excellent school, safe neighborhood, and consistent property value. The median home price in Brighton sits around 250 to 300,000 depending on the specific area. That's the higher than the Rochester median price. But here's what you are actually buying: a suburb with the top-rated school district, strong infrastructures, and a proven track record. Brighton Central School District consistently ranked at the top 5% of the New York State schools. That creates a price floor that other suburbs simply cannot replicate. Families with the kids will pay the premium because the alternative is gambling in the district that might not deliver. But here's what changing the most people aren't tracking yet. Brighton is seeing significant commercial development along Monroe Avenue and Winton Road, Kadariya. The new mixed-use developments are building retail, restaurant, and walkable urban amenities that did not exist 5 years ago. The town just approved a major infrastructure improvement, including the road construction, upgrading water system, and the expansion of the park. When municipalities invest that kind of money, they are preparing for the growth, not just maintaining the status. Here's the market signal. Well, the broader Rochester market has seen inventory normalize. Brighton inventory is still tight. Homes here are moving consistently and the price appreciation is steady and reliable. The takeaway is Brighton won't 3x in value in 5 years, but also won't quarter if the market softens. Brighton is the place where you build the wealth slowly and safely while knowing your kids are in the excellent schools and your property will hold the value. If you are looking for stability with the modern upside, this is it. Now let's talk about the Penfield, located northeast of the Rochester, because what's happening here is quietly transforming the entire northeast of Rochester suburb. Penfield sits just 15 minutes away from the downtown and has always been a solid family suburb with the good schools and a nice neighborhood. The median home price is hover around 240,000 to 280,000, which is reasonable for what you are getting. But here's what changed in the last 18 months. The Panorama Creek development and the expansion of the multi-business park along with the Route 441 are bringing thousands of jobs to the Penfield doorstep. According to the town planning documents, Penfield is expecting significant employment growth from the tech companies, medical device manufacturers, and the professional service firm expanding into the area. These aren't low-wage retail jobs. These are 60 to 100,000 plus positions that creates a serious housing demand. The infrastructure is catching up too. The town approved a major road improvement along with the major corridors and a new park and a school facility upgraded to handle project population growth. And here's the data point everyone missing. New construction in Penfield is moving faster than the metro average. Builder doesn't move that fast unless they see the real demand, and they don't break the ground on the specific unless pre-sale justifies it. Penfield School District ranked among one of the best Monroe County, which creates some price floor effect we talk about in Brighton, and parents are happily pay extra for the proven school. The market is signaling something clear. The housing price between 250 to 350 are selling quicker with the minimal days on the market. That's not the balanced market. That's early stage comparison where the demand is outpricing the supply. The bottom line, the Penfield is transforming from the stable suburb to the growth hub, and the window to get in before price reset is closing. This is where things get really interesting. Greece sits in the Rochester northwest side, and for years it had one reputation that was not the best. Older housing stocks and nothing specific. But here is what changed. This is critical. Major infrastructure investment and new developments are completely transforming this suburb. The median home price in Greece is around 180,000 to 220,000. which is significantly below the Rochester metro medium home price of $215,000. But before you dismiss Greece as a cheaper for a reason, the new residential developments are bringing hundreds of modern homes with the market price between $350,000 to $450,000. Those aren't renovated 1970s range. Those are brand new construction with the modern amenities. The town just dropped the major commercial development along with the Ridge Road and the Lata Road, bringing new retail, restaurant, and the services to the area where undeserved for the decades. And here is the real catalyst: Greece's proximity to the Lake Ontario and the port of Rochester development. The port that's getting a 50 million plus transformation with the mixed-use development, restaurant, and year-round activations. That's a 10 minutes drive from many Greece neighborhood. Employment also growing. Multiple companies are expanding into our Greece business parks, and with the Rochester overall tech and manufacturing growth, Greece is positioned as the affordable housing for the workspace. And here is what the data is showing. Well, the metro saw modest appreciation. Greece are tracking a significantly higher growth rate. New construction neighborhoods are seeing competitive offers and selling quickly, which signals the demand is building. And here is the inventory situation. Greece has more available land for the redevelopment than Brighton or the Penfield, which means the builders can actually build a scale and keep prices reasonable where still appreciating. A play here is very simple. If you are looking for a suburb where you can still buy under 400,000, get access to the Lake Ontario, catches the new development momentum, and avoid the premium pricing for established suburb, this is it. Greece won't have a Brighton school district reputation overall, but the gap is closing. The infrastructure is improving and the value positioning is undeniable. Now we are getting into the serious growth potential. Webster sit on the Lake Ontario southern shore, northeast of the Rochester. What's happening here is nothing short of renaissance. For years, Webster was known as a quiet lakefront community with the good schools and modest home price. The median sit around $250,000 to $300,000, which is reasonable for the lakefront access, but that's about to change dramatically. Here's the catalyst: nobody is pricing it yet. Webster is experiencing a perfect storm of factors that creates the expansion growth. First, the lakefront development boom. Multiple new residential projects are transforming Webster waterfront from seasonal college year to year-round luxury living. We are talking about the townhomes, condo, and a single-family homes with the Lake Ontario views priced from $280,000 up to $500 plus. The second, the business park expansion. The Webster Route 104 Kadariya is seeing major commercials and the industrial development. According to the town planning documents, several large employers are expanding or relocating to Webster, bringing hundreds of high-paying jobs. Third, the school district advantage. Webster Central School District consistently rank among the top districts in the Finger Lake region. That creates the same price floor effects we discussed earlier. Parents will pay premium price for the proven schools. But here is what makes Webster specifically comparing to every other lakefront community. It is still affordable relative to what others getting. Lakefront property in most of the market commands massive premium. In Webster, you can still find the homes with the lake access or the lake view at the price that seems almost too good to be true. The market is already responding. New construction in the Webster is moving faster. Homes are selling before completion in many cases. Lakefront properties are seeing multiple offers. Days on market for desirable property is well below the metro average. And here's the infrastructure story. Webster is investing heavily in the revitalization, park improvement, and the waterfront amenities. The village is actively trying to create a year-round destination and not just a summer beach town. The employment destiny is real too. Webster have several major employers like Xerox facilities, manufacturing companies, and growing tech firms. Add into the workflow Rochester Tech Hub designation, Webster is promised as a landing zone for the professionals who want lakefront living with the reasonable commute. Here's the bottom line. Webster offers something rare: lakefront living, excellent school, strong employment, and new development momentum. And the prices are still accessible. That combination doesn't last long. If you are looking for the suburb with the serious appreciation potential and still has a fundamental strength, Webster is the place. This is it. This is where everything we have talked about converge into something nobody saw coming. And the locals might hate me for putting this on blast, but the data does not lie. Henrietta sits just south of Rochester, and for years, this was the afterthird suburb. RIT campus is there, some of the commercial strip, nothing special. But here's what changed. This is massive. RIT expansion in the tech ecosystem. Rochester Institution of Technology is one of the top engineering and technology university in the country. According to the university data, RIT expanding significant with the new research facilities, corporate partnership, and startup incubator. But here's what that actually means. RIT produce thousands of engineers and a tech graduate every year, and a significant percent of those stay in Rochester. They need housing, they start companies, they create a demand, the semiconductor and the photonic connections. Remember that 40 million NY's smart eye conductor tech hub finding? Henrietta is promised at the center of Rochester tech ecosystem. AIM Photonic, which does cutting-edge semiconductor and the photonics research, has a major facilities here. With the federal funding floating and the company's expansion, Henrietta is becoming a Rochester Silicon Valley, but at the fraction of the cost. The affordability factors, here's what soak in part of the medium home price in the Henrietta around 200 to 240,000. That's below the Rochester Metro medium and significantly below the suburb like the Brighton and Penfield. You can buy a well-maintained home in a Henrietta for what a down payment cost in a Webster lakefront area and a Pittsburgh area. The development pipelines, multiple new residential development are underway in Henrietta with the homes price from 350,000 to 400,000. These aren't the luxurious estate. They are workforce housing designed for the young professional, RIT graduate, and a tech worker. But here's what the market is signaling: that nobody is connecting yet. New construction in Henrietta is moving faster than almost anywhere in the Monroe County. Builders are reselling the phases earlier than planned just to keep with the demand. The inventory situation is tight, significantly tight that the metro average. When the combined low inventory with the steady pricing appreciation and a new development momentum, that's the leading indicator of the explosive growth. Here is the employment archers. RIT employs thousands directly and creates thousands of major jobs indirectly throughout the startups and the research partnership. Adding to the University of Rochester Medical Center facility in the area, you have got serious employment density. The infrastructure improvement in Henrietta is getting major road renovation, utility upgrades, and the commercial development along the key Kadariya. The town is actively preparing for the growth, not just maintaining the exist. Here is what nobody is talking about. The Henrietta has something the most suburb don't: deployable land for the development combination with the existing infrastructure and employment archers. That combination is rare, and with the Rochester tech sector projected to grow 12.6% throughout the 2030, every one of those workers need a housing. Henrietta is promised to capture the demands at the price point that are actually affordable. And the bottom line is, well, everybody is chasing the established suburb at the 500 to 600,000. Henrietta is building and delivering at the 350 to 450,000 with the double-digit growth potential and a strong fundamental. For anyone watching the Rochester next chapter unfold, this is the slippery story that's not mainstream yet by the bigger media. Here is what most real estate agent won't tell you, because frankly, it is not always in their best interest, but I'm going to say it anyway. Appreciation always follow the same pattern: infrastructure investment, employment growth, development pipelines, and then price surge. Right now, in every suburb I just showed you, we are between stage 2 and stage 3. This is your window. Rochester market is transitioning. We have added inventory, but the median price are still climbing. Days on market have increased slightly, but sales are still happening. That is not the consideration. That's a normalizing market after the year of chaos. And in transition market, people who wins are the one who understand the patterns before everyone else trying to figure it out. Here's what's going to happen next. If the mortgage rate drop even a 50 basis point, the inventory gain will evaporate in just 90. Buyers who are sitting on the sidelines will flood back in, and suddenly you are competing with the multiple offers again instead of having negotiation power. Brighton is stable with upside. Penfield is riding corporate employment growth. Greece is capturing value migration. Webster is a lakefront renaissance, and Henrietta is a raw early stage boom that nobody saw coming. The difference between the buying now and the waiting for the 18 months isn't just 20 to 30,000 in appreciation. It is leverage, it is a selection. It is the ability to walk away if the deal ain't right for you. And once this window closes, trust me, it won't reopen again for years. If you are serious about getting into any of those growth market before actually it takes off, here is what I need you to do. Reach out to me directly. Email me, call, or DM, whatever works for you. Let's set a strategy session where I can walk through the exact neighborhood within those suburbs that give you the best value, best schools, and the best sort of appreciation. I will show you what builders are actually delivering on time and which developments are positioned correctly and which lot makes sense. And here's the thing you need to understand: not every lot is the same, and the location within the development matter just as much the development site. We will figure out the financial structure that makes this work. Even rates aren't perfect yet, because timing matters more than the rates, and the positioning matters more than the price. If the Rochester is on your radar but you're still in a research mode, I got you covered. Please check out our complete Rochester relocation guide, and I'll put that in the description below. And it covers everything from cost of living to the neighborhood to the job market to things to do. I am Khem Kadariya with The Real Broker, helping people relocate into a Rochester and build wealth through the real estate. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on next video.